Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb has posited that the bizarre object dubbed 3 Atlas may not be a natural spacebody, but an alien technology. New information has flipped entirely what scientists believed they understood about the odd visitor. For months, astronomers expected this interstellar object to just graze Mars before vanishing into space. But as scientists keep monitoring it, fresh revelations are making them question that presumption altogether. 3 Atlas, which was first seen on July 1st, was thought to be a brilliant but harmless comet moving through our solar system. But fresh tests by Avi Loeb's team at Harvard and independent analysts at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory have revealed something remarkable. Going by these results, 3 Atlas is not possibly a rock, and its current path implies that it might be on a mission to hit the inner solar system. Its path is more than unusually well aligned with the planet's trajectories, and the really stunning fact is that the path seems to be shrinking while its speed alters in manners no ordinary comet should. For the first time, new data indicates that the object might be heading for a collision with Mars. If you like discoveries such as this, you are not alone. 3 Atlas is traveling faster than any interstellar object yet tracked. At this time, it's moving at almost 87 kilometers per second relative to the Sun, speedy enough to travel from Earth to the Moon in less than 80 minutes. Gravitational pulls from the Sun, Jupiter, and Mars change its course by tiny micrometers per second every hour, infinitesimal changes that can add up to sweeping divergences over tens of millions of kilometers. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter just verified that the object's coma, its glowing halo of gas around it, has doubled in intensity since last August, releasing peculiar bursts of ultraviolet energy. That's extremely abnormal activity for a comet. Its rate of CO2 outgassing is way beyond anything previously recorded in our solar system. Rather than settling down as it comes closer to the Sun, 3 Atlas is speeded up, reversing direction, and ejecting bursts of gas in short, controlled puffs, moves more characteristic of a guided missile than a natural object. Based on the latest trajectory calculations, it's forecast to make its closest approach to Mars on September 26, 2025, at a mere 1.95 million kilometers distance. To planetary astronomers, that's a close call indeed. At that distance, Mars' gravity would be able to measurably affect the object's trajectory, and a small acceleration of only 10 kilometers per second would be enough to throw its orbit and land it squarely in a collision. For context, 3 Atlas would only require a small portion of the SpaceX Starship's thrust to alter its path from a close call to a direct collision. And those minute changes in thrust seem to be taking place now, concealed within its tail. Spectroscopic observations by the Gemini South Observatory in Chile have uncovered a phenomenon that defies explanation. Rather than random outgassing, the comet releases gas in tightly coordinated bursts every 17 minutes. These bursts are coordinated over several days and create microaccelerations that nudge the object toward Mars's orbital plane. Such rhythmic behavior is unprecedented in comet science. Natural jets burst erratically, driven by sunlight hitting ice, and never stick to such a rigid, mechanical cadence. The timing of the pulses is so consistent that they are akin to attitude thrusters on a spacecraft. If this pattern continues, scientists estimate that by September 19, 3 Atlas will have adjusted its trajectory enough to close the missed distance to less than 50,000 kilometers, closer than some of Mars's moons. What we're looking at is a fast-moving object roughly the size of Manhattan hurtling through our solar system, expected to make its closest pass to Earth on December 17. Whether it's a comet, an asteroid, or something much more unusual is yet to be determined, but Avi Loeb thinks there is a strong argument that it is of extraterrestrial origin. Loeb says its brightness suggests a solid object almost 20 kilometers wide, bigger than Manhattan Island. That's huge compared to earlier interstellar visitors, which were hundreds of times smaller. It is difficult to imagine that the third of such objects to be found would be so much larger than the rest, without a midpoint example being found between them. More astonishing still is that it should lie in its trajectory precisely along the plane of our solar system's planets. The question, therefore, is whether this is coincidental or the work of intelligent design. Were 3 Atlas to impact Mars, the effects would be disastrous. With a purported mass of 10 billion tons made up of irradiated ice and dust surrounding a metallic core about 400 meters in diameter, An impact would release energy equal to 2 million megatons of TNT, thousands of times stronger than the largest nuclear blast on Earth. The impact crater that would form might be 60 kilometers wide and 5 kilometers deep, ejecting debris into Mars' orbit and even propelling some material into interplanetary space. This type of impact would decimate current space missions. Mars is home to dozens of active spacecraft today, such as the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter and NASA's Perseverance rover. A collision would destroy essential communication networks, climate monitoring systems, and science missions in one night. Stories indicate that NASA has quietly started making arrangements for such an occurrence. Memos show that the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is being retasked to function as an early warning radar platform, while the Goldstone antennas have been retasked to reflect radar waves off 3 Atlas's center. The results remain classified, but insiders describe them as unlike any echo we've ever recorded, showing strong metallic reflections rather than the soft signatures typical of ice and rock. If these reports are accurate, 3 Atlas may not be made of natural materials at all. The core could contain metallic alloys impossible to form naturally in deep space, suggesting an artificial structure encased in ice. Loeb and student Adam Hibbert suggested a theory, now in peer review, that 3 Atlas could be a technology messenger released by a more advanced civilization. In their system, the object would skim Mars purposefully either to drop probes or crash on purpose, scattering tractable materials from below the planet's surface. Their calculations show that the gas pulses are not chaotic ejections of vapor but precisely aimed thrusts, enabling the object to pilot itself around the solar system in the manner of a spacecraft making use of reaction-controlled jets. Consistent with this possibility, the European Space Agency's Mars Express has imaged 3 small, mirror-like objects circling Mars in a triangular pattern. At first explained away as image artifacts or cosmic radiation, the objects reappeared in the same configuration on successive orbits, creating suspicion they might be probes dropped by 3 Atlas on a previous flyby. Loeb has called on NASA to cross-correlate these observations with historical Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter records to see whether any metal debris already exists on the Martian surface. Finding even a single verified piece of interstellar technology would be a groundbreaking discovery, much more valuable than any Martian meteorite ever discovered on our planet. The timeline seems urgent now. On September 26, 2025, 3 Atlas will cross Mars's orbit path. From September 19th to 30th, researchers anticipate a last spurt of activity, the time when the comet will probably be making its final course adjustments. At this stage, its velocity relative to Mars will be around 57 kilometers per second, so even a glancing collision could liquefy cubic kilometers of rock and drive plumes of debris into space. Skeptics say that no natural comet can change its course by such a large margin through the use of sublimation alone, since it would take more than 10 billion joules of concentrated energy, far more than ever before observed. But that's exactly what existing course models suggest. Whether 3 Atlas is a comet acting in unprecedented manners or an intentional creation from another civilization, its trajectory represents one of the most fascinating, and potentially worrisome, enigmas ever witnessed in our neighborhood of the cosmos.